welcome to the programme. This week, Murroe Community Council would like to bring you more news and features from the parish of Murroe, and we begin today with the Church of the Holy Rosary Murroe, presented by Father Thomas Hearn.
You're welcome to the Church of the Holy Rosary here in Murroe. My name is Father Tom Hearn. I'm the curate working along here with Father Ryan. And as we know, Murroe is also joined with the church in Boher. But this afternoon we're going to tell you a little bit about the history of the church here in the village of Murroe itself. Well, the church was erected in around, the foundation stone was laid in 1905. And we're told that it cost £10,000 to actually build the church here. The foundation stone then, it was formally laid by Archbishop Fenley on Rosary Sunday, and that was the 2nd of October in 1904. And the church was consecrated then in 1915 by Archbishop Hartig. On the outside of the church, the stone that was used was sandstone, and that was brought from Barrington's Quarry at Moher, and the land was donated to the parish by Lord Cloncurry. So we're told then also that the people of the community would have brought the stone from Moher down here to the village for the erection of the church. So we might just go through some of the features here that are very evident in the church. I suppose one thing that we're very proud of are our stained glass windows. In the church we have 21 Watson stained glass windows, and there's two further windows at the far side of the church, and the designer is unknown. The Watson family are from Youghal, County Cork, and they claim to be the first to introduce the Celtic design into stained glass in Ireland. So we begin over here with our first two windows. First of our stained glass windows here is dedicated to St. Joseph. The one beside it shows us the baptism of the High King at Cashel. Then beginning here in the corner, going down through the church, we have the 15 decades of the Rosary. We have two rose stained glass windows in the church in the side aisles, one over here and one in the far aisle. And in the centre of both of those windows we have the symbols that we associate with Holy Thursday, Good Friday and Holy Saturday. As I said, these two windows, the designer and the maker is unknown to us, and we just know that one of them, this one here, is dedicated to the Holy Family. Along the sanctuary area we have 4 stained glass windows, and they're dedicated to Jesus Good Shepherd. We have St. James, St. John the Evangelist, and finally one to Sgt Hill. Well, all those stained glass windows were installed between 1910 and 1922. And as you can see from looking around the church, most of the original features are still here. In the 1990s, there was a lot of damage done to the roof of the church during a storm, so the roof was replaced and the heating was upgraded. And to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the church, we had celebrations here back in 2005 when the church was painted.
At the recent concert in Glenstall Abbey, the following organ solo was performed by Brother Cyprian Love. Last week, a coffee morning was held at the Garda station in Murroe, where members of the parish community met local Gardaí, Leanne McCarthy, Tom McGlinchey and Brian McNamara, as well as Sgt Helen Holden. Sgt Helen Holden will now share with us some good advice on personal and property security.
My name is Sgt Hill and I'm a Garda Sergeant attached to both Meroo Garda Station and Cappenmore, and we also cover Palace Green and Ula and Doon. So I'm just going to give you a little talk this morning on, I suppose, something that's relevant to this newsletter, and that's in relation to security of your property and of yourself. When your house is left for any short period of time unattended, if you're away in hospital or in respite care, the only concern we would have is that the house looks unoccupied and in total darkness all the time. So ideally, if you can leave perhaps lights on, the property is still secure, but if you have the lights on a timer switch so that they are coming on in the evening time and the house looks as if it's occupied, it's the ideal situation. Always, if you have a neighbour that's prepared to keep an eye on your property and to call and maybe change things around to make sure that there's no build-up of post in the letterbox, or deliveries have been left at the door and not being collected, then it's a perfect solution, because the property always looks as if there's people coming and going to it. I suppose, other than that, if you leave your name and address and a contact number or a key holder's contact number, it's perfect for us, because we can ensure the property is well patrolled, and the guards, when they're out on their night patrols, they can keep passing attention to it. So if you have any concerns and you feel that there's something that's troubling you about your property, let the local Gardaí know, and I can assure you they'll have no problem calling on the premises. If you are concerned about possibly people that are calling to your house, maybe these bogus traders looking to clean your guttering or to fix the roof or slates or whatever, I would say, rather than engaging them in business, put them off. You needn't be particularly harsh about putting them off, but put them off for some time. Just tell them you need to contact a friend or a brother or sister or son or daughter, and ask them to call back at a later date. And on that time, make the guards aware of it. Tell the local guards again that this fella called, and maybe they were driving a red van or whatever, and you're concerned, and the guards will be there the next time they come. I would have asked people not to engage them in business, because clearly these are bogus traders. That they're not going to do a good job, and you're going to end up paying them a lot of money and feel underprivileged to pay them that money. So I would say put them off. Or even if you have callers, maybe sometimes these people arrive saying that they're working on behalf of the ESB and they need to come into your property, or they're from social welfare or Aircom or whatever. Again, put them off. If they're genuinely from the ESB or the water works or the Aircom, they have no problem being put off, postponed until another day till you're sure of their identification. But put them off, rather than, don't allow them into your property anyway. I say there's no need for these people to be allowed in until you're sure of their verifications. Finally, I suppose the key to all of this, the most important note I want to bring across to people this morning, is that if you have any concerns about break-ins or being attacked or whatever, I would like to assure you that these are very, very rare, and that the key to all of this is that you keep in contact with some member of your community, and that you have good contact with your local Gardaí. You know them on a one-to-one basis, and I can assure you that all Gardaí, whether it be in Murroe, Cappenmore, Palace Green or wherever, their number one priority is looking after the elderly in the community, and they have no problems at all answering calls or taking calls, no matter how trivial they might seem, and dealing with them. So I would say always pick up the phone, contact the guards and tell them if you have any concerns whatsoever.
Meroo AFC's PRO Noel Regan next describes further the very active club based at Tubber, Meroo.
Hi, it's just a brief history and a profile of Meroo AFC since it was founded. The club itself was founded in 1968 in the small village of Meroo in East Limerick. It's about 12 miles from Limerick City, and it was founded to promote and facilitate the playing of association football in the area. A small committee was set up at the time, and there was one adult men's team, and this was fielded in local tournaments in the area with modest success. In 1975, the club won its first trophy when the team won the Western League Cup, which was a small tournament run at that time between East Limerick and Tipperary. In the late 70s and early 80s, and in cooperation with the local community and the local Gardaí, a school by section called Meroo Boys AFC was established, and their first success came in 1982 when the team won the local county community games under 12's county title. The initial senior development began really when the club was accepted to play in the Limerick District League in 1985. The team plied its trade in what was the old 5th division of the league for a number of years, And in the last 12 to 14 years, we've climbed the divisions and we've met with great success and won many trophies brought back here to the village. In 1995, due to the demand in the area, a second men's team was set up, and in the past few years we've also climbed the divisions with this team, winning more trophies and continuing to develop the game at senior level. In 1999 it was decided that the club would need to amalgamate the schoolboy section of the club with the senior section of the club to streamline the club and to provide the facilities that we felt was needed going forward. This has resulted in there now being over 12 schoolboy schoolgirls teams fielded in league football, and 5 teams are playing developmental football between the ages of 5 and 8 years of age in the area. And there's an equal division at the moment between girls teams and boys teams in the clubs, and we're one of the few teams in the county that can say this. In 2000 it was decided that we'll start an adult ladies team due to the growing demand in the area. And as with all other Meroo AFC teams, it wasn't long before trophies were being won, and this culminated with the team winning a league and cup double in 2005, another league title in 2007, and this year the club had its biggest success at senior level when we won the Desmond Cup, the Division 2 Cup, the Limerick Junior Cup, and we contested the Munster final recently, where we unfortunately lost 2-1.
Recently, Archbishop Clifford blessed and opened a new extension at Killin National School, and Jonathan Dervin had his camera on hand to capture the occasion.
Five, four,
3, 2, 1.
That was Archbishop Clifford officially opening the extension and refurbishment of Killin National School on the 19th of November 2011. We want to take a little tour of the school and go through a brief history of the building progression in Killin. But first, here is a part of the opening hymn sung at the opening mass by the school choir. These images are of the artwork in the refurbished classroom, now home to junior and senior infants. This is in the old part of the building. Scoil Naisiúnta Éilimh Killin was originally built in 1966 as a 2-teacher school with 2 permanent classrooms. Much has changed in the last 45 years. In 1991, as numbers grew, a 3rd teacher was appointed, and this saw the arrival of our first prefabricated building. 1999 marked the appointment of a full-time resource teacher based in our school, so in 2000 a port cabin arrived on site in order to accommodate a resource teacher. In 2001 then, a feasibility study was commissioned by the Board of Management to ascertain whether the needs of the school could be met by an extension or whether a new school building would be required. This study was submitted to the Department of Education. While awaiting a decision from the department, many fundraising initiatives were undertaken locally in order to raise funds to purchase additional land and school equipment should funding be granted. In 2002, we received minor funding to replace the original windows and upgrade the heating system. In 2003 saw the appointment of a 4th class teacher, and therefore another prefab was added to our school. In 2007 the department finally came through and the school was awarded a building project under the devolved grant scheme. This enabled the addition of 2 permanent classrooms, a general purpose room and refurbishment of the existing rooms. In 2008 our enrolment continued to rise and a 5th class teacher was appointed, and once again we had outgrown our permanent accommodation. In 2011 the summer work scheme saw the removal of the shed, our yard was resurfaced and an astroturf was added to our facilities. '11 saw the addition of a 5th permanent classroom and a staff room to accommodate the growing numbers attending our school. We leave you now with some more artwork decorating the walls of our classrooms and the song "This Is Our School," sung this time by all the pupils of Killin National School.
Another organ solo, now from the concert in Glenstall Abbey. This time performed by Father Columba McCann. Father Ryan will now give us a thought for the week.
The people of the parish of Murroe and Boher will have heard me say at this time every year that I love Christmas. There's something special about Christmas. There's a mystery about it, and there's a magic about it. And I have great recollections of Christmas going back the years to the 40s and the 50s when I was growing up as a young lad. And I have great recollections too of coming home from Christmas, leaving the seminary in the early hours of the morning with a lot of colleagues. Indeed, on the bus you could have a full busload of clerical students dressed in black suits and white shirts and black ties. And when we got to Kingsbridge, we headed straight for the Castle Hotel. Now, they got to know us there over the years because we'd go down there for breakfast and we'd have heaped up plates of rashers and sausages and eggs and chips. And after that we'd go our separate ways. I would make my way out by bus out to an uncle and an aunt of mine living out in Clontarf. And you see, we'd been used to being locked up for, say, 3 or 4 months, and it was great, the sense of freedom, and to be brought into a house and to be made welcome and sit before blazing fire and chat away for perhaps an hour and a half. Then back to Kingsbridge, as it was known then, and I can still hear the carols being played out over the public address system, and there was something beautiful about that, getting the train down to Limerick Junction. I can never remember how I got from the train, from the Limerick Junction back up to home, but somebody used to pick me up. There's no place like home, and to be home for Christmas was beautiful altogether. And I have memories of going out to the hay shed with the brothers and filling a bundle of hay and putting it up on the back of the strongest fella and making our way across the field with the dogs chasing low-flying crows and the ice breaking under our feet. We'd be heading for the field, as we call it, under the hill. It was a dry place. And as we got to the gap, the cattle would come down the field, rooting and tearing and making all kinds of noises. And then we'd drop the bundle of hay and make little heaps here and there and watch the cattle chewing away. There was always a rogue animal who would disturb the whole thing by ploughing through the little heaps of hay until there was manners put on him by some of the others, give him a few pokes or kicks, and everything would settle down. And as we stood there listening to the cattle chewing away, the lights were coming on around in the houses up around the hills as darkness fell. And it was like as if there were stars hanging from the sky. So we'd make our way back home, and the place would be getting cleaned up. The decorations at that time for Christmas were sparse enough, but there was this tradition of a big red candle put into half a turnip and placed in the window. We were told that Mary and Joseph on the way to Bethlehem would need these lights, and I was thinking afterwards they'd need a lot of lights to get from Shanawalla at Rare Cross all the way to Bethlehem. The goose was very much the dish at that time. Poor old goose has been clobbered since. The turkey has taken over. People say today that the goose is very greasy. But I can see my mother still putting good bands of bacon across the goose. She used to make soup from the giblets, and there was eating and drinking in that soup. But I suppose the most important thing for us was that the recognition that something special happened on that first Christmas. God came to live among people. God became man. The Word is made flesh and lived among us. And there was that great sense of the presence of Christ. And we had that strong faith. Perhaps today things are different. Maybe there isn't the same faith, and perhaps more is the pity. The decorations are far more to be seen inside and outside of houses. Indeed, as you journey around the countryside, you will see reindeer prancing around lawns and Santa Claus trying to get up the sides of houses and sometimes stuck in the chimney. There is still the same, perhaps, wonder about the whole thing. And for children it is magical time. But I think we have to see at the centre of all this the presence, or to feel the presence of that special person, the one who came to heal and to save. And he is the light in the darkness of our world. He said himself, "I am the light, whoever follows me will not be walking in the darkness, but will have the light of life." And I pray that that light will be in our hearts and in our lives at this time. I want to wish you a very peaceful, relaxing, and happy and spiritual Christmas.